Hi
Hi
everyone,
everyone, welcome back to Infinity Wealth.
Well. So we got a special episode today, and
Absolutely,
an
mate.
episode that is actually going to grace us every single month.
Yeah,
So me and Martin, of course, because of all this going on with this lockdown stuff, we're not able to meet face to face. We're missing each other, but I think this will have to do for now. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring you a series where, obviously, in the first session, we're going to just have some general chats about everything that's going on in the economy, opportunities, all the way from stocks to Bitcoin to gold and all sorts. But in the future,
property.
good and property. And in the future, would love for you guys to get involved with us. Send us in your questions, and we can start answering some of your questions too. Because I do know a lot of you like to send us messages on Instagram, on Facebook, and drop comments in the YouTube. So send them in, and we will
Yeah,
answer them.
yeah, we'll answer them. Whatever it is, we'll
Whatever
answer
it
them.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally. And I think the biggest thing here, Martin, what we're about to go into is us like sort of understanding where we want Infinity Wealth to go. Is about this infinite wealth. It's about
Yeah,
diversification. It's not just about focusing on one asset class. We do a lot of stuff on property, which is fantastic. But
yeah,
I also think it's always timing in the market where we also need to make sure that we're looking at other investment classes. Your
yeah.
stocks, your shares, your even if it's trading or whatever it is,
But
basically. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, the main thing that I've found, right,
Yeah.
we're both property investors ourselves, right?
Yeah.
But the main thing that I found with the vast majority of property investors is they are one-trick ponies, right?
Hmm.
They only either know property investing and that's it, and they don't know anything else,
Yeah.
right? And in order to truly develop wealth over a period of time, you can get rich as well. Yeah. We'll show you how to do
Yeah.
that if you want to do that. But it carries a lot of risk. It is actually learning all the tricks of the trade, which is what we are all about, right?
Yeah.
We are not
100%.
one-trick ponies. We are not the course guys, the gurus who teach about. Yeah, we're not that.
Mm.
What we are about is common sense, property investing, and investing in general.
Mm.
How you can make your money work faster, bring security to your family as well,
Hmm.
right? So
Agreed.
that's what we're all about.
Agreed.
So,
I
and
like
I
I like
think,
I like the common sense bit as well, which
yeah,
is a big
it's
one.
common sense, man. But
100%.
common sense does not bloody well. You would think it's common, but it's not. It's completely not. Common sense is not common.
Yeah. It's a challenge.
But yeah, so I mean, look, I'll tell you what we should kick off, right? So
Yeah.
last week I did a YouTube video
Yeah.
and we talked about where I see opportunities, right? So I don't know if anyone actually took heed of that. I know that you did, mate. So yeah, you had two really big winners this week. So that's
I
brilliant.
did, yeah.
10% each. I think you were 10% each.
Well, one was 40% and one was
There you
10%.
go.
Yeah.
Bingo. Right. What was the other one? Well,
10%. 10%.
10%. Okay, so 40 and 10, right? Okay. That's because you're younger than me and you want to take more chances, right? Which is fine. I'm cool with that, right? But, if anyone had taken heed of what we'd said,
Hmm.
and they'd looked at the UK, no matter where you are, whether you're in the US, it's my personal belief that the US is overinflated at the moment anyway.
Hmm.
Right,
Hmm.
but there are better markets out there.
Yeah.
China, India. Although India is, it is quite high. So I'm
Mm.
waiting for a little of the air to be taken out of there. Right,
Mm.
Japan's broken up into new grounds. But yeah, so just going back to what we were saying last week, we talked about one of the things that I talked about was, oil, right?
Hmm.
If you looked at oil, it hit $33.
Hmm.
Less than eight, it hit 32, between 32 and 33. I can bring up the chart, but I know you got it, right?
Yeah.
Where is it now? Where is it today? Can you bring up that chart, Kiki?
Yeah.
Can you bring up that chart?
Let's get this screen sharing first. Okay. We're looking at oil, yeah? US oil?
Yeah. Bring up, so not Brent. Bring up the cash price of crude.
Crude, yeah.
Yeah, crude, but not Brent.
Yeah, not Brent, yeah. So 38?
Okay, so Can you see the dip down? Can you just
Yeah.
put this week? Can you just see this week? Can
Yeah.
you see where that hit? I don't know if you put your cursor down. Can you see where that? Right. Okay. Because that's quite a long chart, right?
So, do you want to see
I don't
what
know if
you
you
want?
do yeah. So what was it before, Kiki?
So we had a huge dip basically
Yeah. So what was the
from.
dip? About $32 a barrel.
Oh, you're talking about the recent dip just now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one.
So
That's what we
so
got the
we we
cursor. Yeah.
we we bottomed out at 33.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then where is it now?
So
But where
now
was the
we're
height? Where was the height? Because
so the high.
that
Yeah.
is this week's candle.
That's this. Yeah. So this candle that we're looking at here is this
Yeah.
week's candle.
Yeah.
And
Where
then
were we?
the high you're seeing at 39.17.
There you go. So if you'd bought, if you'd actually listened to that and prepared yourself, right,
Yeah.
you would have bought it at, because it went to extremes. And what you tend to find is that no matter where you're investing, whether it's property or whether it's stocks and shares, there are extremes, right?
Mhm.
And what you want to do is you want to, when you see that extreme, you want to think, oh, there could be an opportunity here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So obviously, as property investors, I also short stuff as well, but I don't recommend that to anyone unless you know what you're doing.
Unless you need to know what you're doing for that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so on the basis of if you're just a long only type person, then you're looking at the extreme. So you look at oil, right? And if you look at a chart of BP, I think we looked at
BP is
BP.
another
I
one.
don't know if you
Sure.
bring
We'll
up
bring
BP.
Up. So we've got BP here in the monthly time frame.
There you go. So you can see that BP, if you pan out a bit, you can see it's an all-time low.
Yeah. You see
BP is an all-time low.
We had the bottom
it's
here.
An all-time low, right? Yeah. This is because everyone believes that, oil is dead. We're never going to fly again. We're never going to drive again. Do you really believe that? No. If you've got a longer term horizon, so with BP, it actually hit 190, 192, and then it bounced all the way up to 210 this week. Literally, bang, within a day.
Yeah.
As soon as I released that video, right, and I'm not taking, it just happened to be, I was looking at it, and it happened, right? So, bought it at 192, sold it at 210, job done.
What he's hinting at here is he's a magician.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. But what I'm trying to say is that, I've got stuff long term. Don't get me wrong. We've got stuff long term, right? 100%. You've got stuff that, and one of the things that I'm really conscious of and I have in my awareness is, people go to extremes. So here's a classic example, HMOs, right? Let's talk about property and relate it to where people might begin to understand, because we are property guys as well, right? HMO saturation, right? Everyone and his dog was teaching everyone about HMOs. I kid you not, right? Oh, there's an HMO course here, there's an HMO course. HMOs are good, don't get me wrong. Yeah, they're really, really good investments to make, but you've got to get your area right. You need to understand where you are in the HMO market, right? All these courses are going, go out and buy HMOs, go and buy HMOs, go and do service apartments, go and do service apartments. Have you seen what's happening in the service apartment industry? So it went to extreme. When I saw that, and I thought, do you know what? I could do that, but I'm not going to do that. Main reason why is because I think that's a one-trick pony. Rather than understanding, actually, property is about growing wealth over time. It's not a get-rich scheme. Yep, in development, you can get very wealthy very quickly, right? There's no question about that. But getting rich very quickly also carries a huge amount of risk. Right? If you can embrace that risk, that's great. If you can't, then maybe it's not for you, because developing properties is not necessarily for everyone, because it does carry a huge amount of risk, right? So if I put it in that terms, if you look at service apartments and a lot of property investors, they follow a lot of YouTube channels which don't have common sense. They're selling to you. and all the stuff that they say is not necessarily true. It is about them, giving you. They give you information. They may not give you the correct information on what the downsides are, or what if you go into this and what you could probably expect. They always bullet up on the rosy part. Right? We as investors need to be bringing in common sense into it, saying, okay, well, I know what I'm getting into. Right. So going back to property, one of the things that I've been aware of is I thought, you know what? People hate stocks and shares. Right now, people hate stocks and shares. And I'm thinking, hold on a minute.
History.
Yeah. Hold on a minute. Property, everyone knows about property. Everyone wants to do property. Everyone wants to get rich property. And it is a good vehicle. Don't get me wrong. It's one of the best vehicles that I know, right? Stable, long-term, and it builds wealth. So I'm all for it. I'm all for it, right? But as an investor, you've heard of the phrase BMV, below market, right? It was all the rage. Everyone's like, oh, below market. But they don't know what they're talking about. Below market is when there's blood on the streets, right? Right now, I look for deals, and I'm constantly looking for deals, right? And everything just seems overpriced at the moment. Well, I'm thinking, hold on a minute. Let me get this right. We're in a recession. We could be going into a double dip recession with the second lockdown, right? Where is property? Property should be down there somewhere, right? I know that there's money around, but property is not. Well, hold on. What? I could buy this. I could have bought this a year ago. Where's my deal? Right? There is no deal. So I'm thinking, back off. Back off. It's fine. I can take my time. I don't need to rush into that. And that's why I've been looking along with you. I said, you know what? Most people are missing a trick here. And the trick is that they're one-trick ponies, and they're not proper entrepreneurs looking for opportunities everywhere. There is, we talked about your business, right? Your business, your web design. By the way, if anyone needs any web design, please get in touch with Kiki. Yeah? Okay. There you go. Cool, right? But we talked about it. We talked about the fact that the internet's going to be big now because of lockdown and everything else. So people need to be getting out onto the web. So you can actually scale up your business a lot quicker now, right? But when you're in a situation where you've got a lot of stuff happening, it throws up opportunities as well, and a lot of people miss these opportunities, right?
Agreed.
So for me, it was a case of, well, okay, I know we're a property channel, we're a wealth building channel to help people understand wealth and help them over a period of time. If you want to get rich, we can show you how, but it carries a lot of risk, right? And I'm not taking any responsibility of that. Right, because if I don't have anyone's money, I don't want to do it. But it carries a whole load of risk, and you can make a whole load of money. But if you don't know what you're doing, it's not worth it. So let's look at it as an investment perspective, long term. So we talked about BP. So if you tuck away a few BP shares, that's great. We talked about pharmaceuticals as well.
GSK,
right? Yeah. So GSK again. All-time low, giving a 6% yield. GSK. Hey, I made. I think my return this week on GSK from when I said it was about 5-6%, which is pretty good in a week, right? I'm not selling it; it's long term.
No, of course.
But stuff like that, and I think that's where people should be looking.
I completely agree. I think we were speaking about this earlier. It's very interesting that when being an investor, you have a responsibility to yourself and really to I mean, even investors that may be following you or taking advice from you to act as an investor. And an investor doesn't mean, and this is where the difference becomes between having a job, business, or an investor mentality. The job mentality is, for example, let's just bring it back to property, just because obviously a lot of us are very familiar with it. You have the job investor, which is the person that would go out and do things like rent to rent, service accommodation, which essentially is a job, or just follow someone blindly and just does what they say. And not to say that they won't do well. Some people do well. Some people do fantastically. They profit, fantastic. But you're in a job mindset. You have the second one, which is a business. And a business investor is someone who can change strategies. They might do a flip, they might also do a HMO. But what they do is they remain in the property. They remain in the property industry. And then you have the third, which is the actual investor. The actual investor is not only stuck to the property, he's also looking at other investment vehicles, whether it's, again, stocks and shares and whatever opportunity, cryptocurrencies, and obviously, again, depending on your appetite for risk and depending on your investment strategy, there is loads of opportunities out there. It's not just property. I mean, restaurants, all these sorts of anything.
Yeah, but I think it's also, it's diversification.
There you go. That's exactly what it is, and that's what the investor mindset needs to be focused on, diversification. And I think it's great that you bring up stocks now, is because and understandably, there's a reason why has been this sort of look away against stocks, because of obviously the evident crashes that we've gone through. But I think there always comes a time where there is great opportunities, and those evidently are starting to become apparent to us, and especially me and you, who have been taking action on it and have seen the benefits. And I think the one interesting conversation that we'll have today is the sort of the young versus the experienced, the inexperienced and versus the experience, in terms of how we sort of tackle the market. And both, obviously, we come away with both positive results, but of course one bears more risk than the other, and et cetera, et cetera. So we'll speak about that in a second. But I think coming on to the point of literally, it's just you want to be able to look for these opportunities of diversification. This is what you're made to do. If you're an investor, you have every right to go outside of property and look at other vehicles, because if property takes one legislation to mess things up.
Right? But that's the other thing. The way to look at it, Kiki, is when you've got, it's almost like jumping on something, snakes and ladders, right?
Yeah.
So when something is going up, what you want to do is jump onto that, right? Yeah. But with property, property you can't change very quickly, right? It's a long-term thing, right? 100%. So it's actually jumping on. Oh, there's an opportunity here, jumping onto that, basically. The other thing that you mentioned about Bitcoin, I mentioned Bitcoin last week. Have you seen what Bitcoin's done this week, mate? Have you done it? I mean, if people had actually gone onto that, let me have a look at Bitcoin, I might buy a little bit of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Have you seen what it's done?
Yeah, definitely. It's shot up completely.
Right. Now is not the time to buy Bitcoin, by the way, for anyone that's listening. Wait for a pullback. Wait for a pullback.
It should have been what we said earlier.
Yeah. Wait for a pullback. But it's again, you don't buy loads of it. But actually, I'm going to tell you a story, if that's okay with you. I'm going to just share it. Okay. I'm a student landlord as well, so I've got student properties, right? Mm-hmm. And when Bitcoin was coming out, when it was like 200, I don't know if you can remember, it was $200.
Yeah.
Can you remember those days? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it went from 100, 200, then fell back, right? So anyway, I was talking to one of my students up in Stoke, right? Really nice guy, IT guy. Anyway, I said to him, he said he bought a bit Bitcoin, right, from his student loan. I kid you not, from his student loan. He bought a bit of Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin went all the way to 1,800. Was it 1,800, 2,000? I can't remember, right?
The first sort of run,
Sold it all. He's got no student debt. He's got no student debt.
Yeah, brilliant.
Because he invested, because the way he saw it was, hey, I'm going to buy 600 quid's worth or 800 quid's worth, and I'm going to see how it does. That's fine.
Yeah.
Right? And he sold it as soon as it hit 2,000. It was not 2,000, 20,000.
Yeah.
He sold it.
Just
think about it.
Yeah.
So he bought, I think it was like 3 or 4 Bitcoins, whole Bitcoins.
Crazy. Right? And he used that to pay off his student loan.
The guys, he didn't have any student loans. Didn't have any student loans. Right now, I'm not saying I know where Bitcoin's going. I have no idea.
No. We're not making any claims. We're not making any claims.
Yeah. I have no idea. But it's just to give you an example.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. Exactly.
And on the downside, both you and I bought Ripple, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ripple hasn't done anything.
No.
Right. Ripple. Because I bought some Ripple at 40. I think it was 43p, something like that. I've still got a bit of Ripple, right?
Yeah.
It's just leave it. It's fine.
Yeah.
But Ripple hasn't done so well, whereas Bitcoin has done really, really well.
Definitely. I think on the side of cryptocurrencies, again, it's like if you're so my one of my good friends is actually I would say he's one of the leading also Patel,
Oh, okay.
one of the leading in the UK for people that are actually making quite big changes in the cryptocurrency industry. So he currently works at the FCA in the crypto department. So they're licensing and regulating brokers that are coming into and selling cryptocurrency. So he's very, very knowledgeable in the industry. I think on the side of cryptocurrency, we haven't even begun to scratch the surface of what it is going to be. And I think it's still very speculative. It's very FOMO based still, regardless.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Very FOMO based.
some platforms and some institutions are starting to accept with terms and conditions some digital currencies as assets. There's obviously very fine line definitions and fine line terms and conditions to those. But it is
Did you know PayPal? PayPal was doing that.
Yeah, definitely. And we're going in. We're progressing. So I think the coins, whatever ones people, and again, this I think I'm speaking out to people that feel like they have invested, and like the likes of Ripple and all sorts of Ethereum, whether it be IOTA. There's loads of coins that were doing spectacularly. I think obviously, if you're looking at cryptos as it can be a quick term game if you're investing in Bitcoin, but you really want to start understanding. There's actually fantastic book called The Blockchain Revolution that I recommend people to read. It explains about the whole system, the whole blockchain system, and what it is set out to really achieve. And it's very interesting. If you look at it from that perspective, you can just sort of then take to grasp on how long this sort of thing will take. And this is the same. It's almost like the oil electric dilemma, right? We know electric cars are the future. We know that everything's going to be powered by sustainable. Like the technology is there. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time until they become more affordable, more easily accessible. And when solar panels become as cheap as getting your roof replaced with tiles, in the next 10, 20, 30 years, or at least relative, more people will have it. So it's just about
no. Kiki, by the way, it's pretty cheap now.
I mean, yeah,
they've dropped an enormous amount.
Exactly,
right?
and that's the example there, isn't it? It's obviously become more accessible, and the same thing.
But people don't want to do it. People don't. People don't believe in the technology. Don't believe it. But I've got solar panels. I used to have a solar panel business. But one thing I'll tell you now, we're because one of the things is that I try to be carbon neutral as much as I can. And one of the things was, with solar panels, it's brilliant. So I get with the FITS payments, I get something like £1,800 a year. From my system, which is inflation linked as well. It's great. That's not available at the moment, but
that was
with the onset of electric cars. With the onset of electric cars, people will be doing that.
Exactly, I completely agree, and I think that, again, it's that dilemma where oil is still viable investment and option because it's not going to go overnight. Like you said, people are still going to be taking planes.
You can't run a jet plane on a solar panel.
On a solar panel, yet. Although I actually saw that there's a company that are starting to do successful trials, but again, these are very small planes, and these are one person carry. Like you're talking about the wingspan. Multiplying that by 10. So it's either you get even more powerful solar panels, which again require a lot of money, etc. But like it's this dilemma, isn't it? It's the cryptocurrency. It's the thing that the normal investments, the fiat investments, and the investments that we're taking, the gold, the silvers, the properties and stuff, they're going to still be around for at least 20, 30 years, right? So it's a long term. But again, Bitcoin is definitely is stamped itself as the market leader, and it will pretty much most probably be for cryptos, because it really is where it began, where it started, and where the confidence really is. And obviously there's all sorts of issues with it, but that's why it's at the surface. I mean, if we were deep into the crypto space, there would be massive initiatives by banks already launched. You know, Ripple was the first company that were in talks with these banks. You know, they have some initiatives set up, but there's nothing that is publicly live to the public, right? The ideal obviously is for these people is we start, you know, banks just start using cryptocurrencies as normal services like they do with fiat. It's just they just change the tech basically. But again, we're long from that, essentially.
Yeah, but do you know what's interesting? I think with I think we're not too far away from some of the central banks actually introducing digital currency.
Yeah,
right?
100%, 100%.
Because
That's
right now, you know, with the pandemic, if you've noticed, right, with the pandemic, money notes are not accepted. What do you mean they're not accepted? No, you have to pay by card.
They got germs on them. They got
germs on them, man. See, we're not accepting it. So it's a perfect excuse of going, actually, let's just get rid of all the currency and have digital currency. And that is where we're going. So it's accelerate. What the pandemic has done is accelerated certain trends. And one of those trends is, I don't think that we're too far away from central banks actually issuing digital currency, and with the premise of, well, actually, if we issue digital currency, then we can pay it directly into your bank account. But there's another motive behind that, and that motive is actually keeping an eye on the general public and keeping an eye on taxation and stuff like that. So it's confining you within a system. So right now you can't be out of the system. Bitcoin is out of the system.
Exactly.
Gold is out of the system. Silver is out of the system. It's trying to bring. So I think they'll introduce. I don't think they're that far away. Actually, what's your perspective on that? What do you reckon?
You literally answered it in both two parts. To be honest, it's number one. They're ready to launch. They are ready to go. I think the difficulty lies is all these sort of shady parts of which they don't understand. And again, coming back to my friend who works in the FCA, you'll be surprised to know which a lot of the senior people, the senior directors and people in position and power, they don't know anything about this realm, the crypto, the blockchain realm. They don't. So they actually need the youngsters to come in and educate them, because the youngsters are the ones that have been sitting there learning about blockchain, and they're closer more to the anarchy position, sort of like decentralization, privacy. They don't want any sort of central control. So they're coming from a very different perspective. And obviously the central banks are coming from a perspective of, we want to control everything. We want to have the power. We don't want anybody else to have the power. So there's a lot of conflict. And I think, again, this is where it could take time. It's writing these policies, and how is it actually going to work, and how is it going to be implemented? How are we going to trace the money that comes in? How are we going to control it? And this is part of why the bank said, hey, their first idea was, hey, we'll just open a bank account and we'll control your cryptocurrencies. You tell us what you want. So just like I'm giving my bank money for an ISA account, and they're giving me a return, or stocks and shares ISA, right? They're going to give me a return. They're going to invest it all for me. So they control, right? They control it. They earn something else and then give you something else. So that was the initial idea, but it gets more complex than that. What happens? Okay, if you provide one service, then you also have to provide a service for people that just want to store their cryptocurrencies and not necessarily invest it. They just want to chug in and they want to have safeguard like ledgers and wallets where they can keep their ripples and bitcoins and whatever. So banks also have to now provide that. But then how do they filter where is that coming from? There is no sort of, again, so there's all these complications. And the tech still needs. Don't forget, we're still yet learning about the foundations of how the tech works, let alone building the tools that work on the tech, right? So this is the sort of that's why I personally believe we're still at least minimum 10 years away.
Do I would just beg. I would say to you, I don't think we're that far away. I'll tell you why. It's because of as far as crypto coming in or digital currency coming in, I think we're maybe 1 or 2 years away. Right? I don't think we're that far away. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised, when with the currency system, it's losing value. Right,
massive. It's a huge debt.
Yeah, it's a huge debt, losing value, and they have to do something about it.
That's a good point.
And I think this is where the the big crash or will be, because
Possible,
all of a sudden, the money that you've got, what is it worth? What is that money worth when you can, like I said in the last, if you can print it for free, well, what is it worth?
Yeah.
Was it?
150,
It's
150
no
billion.
joke,
2 days
Billy
ago.
over there, or shall I say, Mr. Powell over there, Jay Powell over there, is just printing it. And by the way, today, Bank of England, 150 billion.
Yeah.
They're gonna, the print. So was it today that they announced it? Or I think it was today, right?
2 days ago.
2 days ago, 150 billion.
Another for the pump to last us technically
150
last
billion.
the next lockdown, basically.
Yeah. So we live in interesting times, and you can either get it massively, well, you can get it, I wouldn't say massively wrong, but you can either just sit on your hands and just say, well, it doesn't really affect me and I'm not really bothered by it. That's great. Or you can say, well, actually, I could try and take advantage of it, and maybe a small advantage of it, by doing this and doing that while I'm still waiting for property.
100%.
But there are advantages in property as well. So I think the other thing is, we'll do hopefully in a month's time when we do it, we'll talk about where I see other opportunities.
Oh,
right?
yeah, definitely.
As property investors. And I think that will be important.
Definitely. I think to sort of wrap up on the crypto point, and then we'll move on to a few other things. I think the perspective I sort of summarize it as is you look at stocks, right?
Yeah.
Stocks, you can stand from a point of speculation. You can also stand from a point of standard growth, company growth, and you can also stand from a point of looking at passive income. And the reason why you can stand from these 3 points is because even a company that IPOs has history, right? It has history. So obviously your company needs to get to a certain point to be able to go out on the open market. It needs to be big enough to go out on the open market. You can't have a company that's got 40k turnover and go out on the open market. So you need to be a certain size, right? So it still has history. And so I can still look into a company, understand where they're going, look into their products and services, and be like, okay, if this company is trying to sell mortgage services with very old school methods, I know I'm not going to bank on them, right? If they're just opening another bank, I'm not going to bank on them. But if I see a tech company who's like the likes of Neo competing with Tesla, which are the sort of ways forward, or a mortgage company, there's a company called Rocket Companies, and they're using quite good revolutionary tech to pump into the mortgage industry. They're doing great things, and they've made a lot of money. I can now base my decision off of speculation or history or an educated guess because I've got backup. The thing with cryptos is it's all speculation. You can't base your decision off of what has Bitcoin done, what has Ripple done, what has IOTA done. And that's why I sort of feel like there's still a history that needs to be made. There is still it's still baseless at the moment. So I think yeah, definitely. I do feel like adoption of digital currencies will happen sooner. I just feel like the mainstream use and acceptance will only be allowed once there's proper regulation and once there's proper base and foundation, and when there's an actual use case that, I mean, the government really, because let's face it, us investors are wise enough to act on our own selves, but 90%, 99% of every country's population follows the government, right? And what they do, they don't act for themselves. They just follow what they're being told. They just yes sir, no sir. So I think it sort of leads up from there. But that sort of leads.
I was just going to add one more thing, right?
Yeah, go for it.
That a lot of people are not aware of, right? And what people are not aware of is the cycles, right? There's a cycle in everything, right?
Yeah.
Like we talked about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is actually going through a cycle at the moment.
Yeah,
it's actually 100%. on an upward trajectory cycle at the moment. Right?
Yeah.
So the good time to buy Bitcoin is between now and February time. And there's a lot of other things that are in that cycle. Gold and silver go around cycles. There's lots of things that go. Property has a cycle. We're in that cycle at the moment, but you want to pick it up in the trough where cycles are in the trough. But it's understanding cycles, and I think it'd be interesting. I think if people come in and they say, "Well, can we have a look at this short, like share or stock?" We're happy to do that.
Yeah, yeah,
If
definitely.
they've got property
Definitely.
questions as well,
Yeah, yeah,
um,
100%.
I
Either
mean,
way.
yeah, and I'm not going away from property. I
No,
love
no,
property.
no.
Property is my.
I think,
So,
yeah, I think definitely. I think just sort of reinforcing whilst we're continuing talking, the message here isn't to move away from anything. It's
no,
to
no, no.
include everything
Yeah, yeah,
else.
and
And
it
I
is
think
to make people aware, right?
exactly.
That
Well, yeah.
we at Infinity Wealth are not one trick ponies.
Mm.
Yeah, we don't do just one course. We're actually teaching from experience.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not teaching
100%.
from someone who's gone to a course
And
and
just
then decided to become a guru and an expert.
yeah,
Right? What we're
100%.
teaching from is this is what we've been doing. This
Yeah,
is what we
exactly.
do. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And
Agreed.
it's a history of success on how we've created. Yeah, everything has its ups and downs. So with each, you do have losses. Not everything is always rosy in life, right?
Mm, mm,
But generally, you're always building the wealth, right?
100%.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and I think so if people get in touch with us, first of all, see if they like this format that we do
Oh
once a month. It'd
yeah.
be interesting to see
I'm
if they
sure it
like
is.
it.
Well,
And you
and
never know, I could be in a different location next time.
yeah.
But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if people like this format.
Yeah.
I know it's a little bit long, but I think it's something that they will find entertaining
Mm,
and also educational. That maybe
yeah.
they want to do their own research. Maybe they want to say, "Oh, can you
Yeah.
guys have a look at this share?" And we can
Yeah.
throw it up. We can actually bring it up on our charts and say, "Well, look, this is what our," and we're not advisors, right? It's a case of
We're
what
just
we're
serious.
looking at,
Yeah.
and we're looking at on a long-term perspective. We're not going to give it out on a trading basis.
Mm.
Buy it now or sell it. We're not doing
No,
that.
no, no, no.
Eventually with Infinity Wealth, we will be teaching people about trading,
Mm.
right? But that's quite complex and something that people need
Yeah.
to learn a little bit more in depth about. So
Mm.
we will be doing that,
Yeah.
but not
I
at
think
this moment
it's
in time.
again it's the big thing of we're sharing at the end of we're sharing our
Yeah,
experiences and we're teaching you to take initiative. That's the biggest thing here. It's the investor initiative to
yeah.
start looking at these sort of things. But I want to go into
Go.
let's talk a bit more about stocks and more specifically now
Okay.
and what I wanted to sort of just highlight is really obviously what's happening. I know we sort of touched on it at the beginning of this conversation, but just to sort of highlight what's happening right now in the stock market. So obviously everybody knows the pandemic. Everyone knows what we're going through. Everyone also knows that the recession was announced a few weeks or more than a month ago, most probably officially by the UK. So we are, of course, if you did not know already, we are officially in a recession. I hope you know that. And of course, I think had it been 2008, the news is taken over by the recession, but because we're going through a pandemic, a lot of stuff is happening behind the curtain, and I think now is very important for you to sort of identify what's happening in the property market, in the stock market, and the stock market right now in particular. I think there's opportunities. The markets have crashed. As we brought up some charts on some of the biggest companies, BP, GSK, some of these companies that have absolutely and don't get me wrong, some of these companies have been crashing for a while, which we get, but I think that the
Yeah.
pandemic have really spurred it on. And you've got companies that are also doing well. You've got, as I said, so just to give a sort of story of what Martin was saying earlier about the returns and what we've both achieved this week. So I made some investments in some tech IPOs, which IPO'd about a month ago. Competitors to Tesla, which are doing great things. As everyone knows, Tesla had a stock split. So people buying Tesla, people know everyone knows what Tesla does. So competitors and people that are in the tech space, and of course this is where we're sort of starting to talk about the three types of stock investments. So, we got the speculation, which is the higher risk, which obviously is going to be the appetite of the more younger people and the people like me. And I think there's two sides to this. There's a side of energy where we just like to do those things. We got the thrill of life, but also because we don't really have any direct responsibilities in terms of children or or if you're not married or whatever, you don't really have any proper, you've got that sort of leeway to play with those sort of margins and to sort of test out and to learn basically. You want to do that, and of course it can be rewarding if it goes the right way. Couple that with education and risk management, you could do quite well.
Very well. Yeah.
You could do very well. So of course that's another story game in itself.
Yeah.
But the speculative is something that is, you're still looking at it from a practical point of view. You're not just putting money into, just chucking money into companies that are IPOing here, there, and everywhere. You're looking at it from a perspective. Okay, look, let's see where we're going in terms of the future. We're looking at sustainable energy, biotech, which is a massive one. Pop tech, all these sort of companies that are forging the future businesses of the already established companies. So just convert it, oil, convert to energy, right? We got, your metals are going to stay metals. Your gold and silvers are always going to be secure regardless.
But just going back on that, because we look at commodities as well. So we don't just look at just stocks and shares.
Yeah.
Right?
So
we look at commodities and
ETFs.
And the thing is, what we try to do is we try to ascertain where there could be a trend, right?
Exactly.
And be early enough to jump on that trend, or if there's a correction in a very positive trend, that we can actually then jump on because we've correction to actually. So there's different aspects of it that you can do basically, like when you went for your share basically. When you invested in that, you were already seeing what Tesla was doing, right? I think it actually dropped back from the IPO, and you picked it up again.
Yeah.
So you waited for it. You were trained, so you actually waited for it to actually hit a support zone, and you bought it, right? And when I buy stuff in a support zone, it is a case of waiting and averaging in basically in a support zone. But again, we'll at some stage we'll do little courses on this to educate people. How to look at it and what to do. But 100%. Our main thing is property, where property, because we have to. I'm constantly looking at deals, but those deals are not. I think there's higher risk in that property environment at the moment. Then there is reward. So I look at the risk reward ratio, and it's a case of I'll just sit. I'll do nothing. I'll play around with a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and that's great. But there's other ideas that we have, and maybe we can say that to another video, which I think will be the next big thing for the next 10, 15 years, believe it or not.
100%.
And most people are not thinking about it. And I don't want to give it away, right? But most people are not thinking about it. Most people are not thinking about it. And it's actually jumping on that bandwagon at the moment. It is techie. It is techie, right? But it's looking at where we're going to be in 10 years' time and how the world's going to change and what contributions certain companies are going to make to that.
100%.
They're already established and they're going to make to that. So But I think we can save that for another video.
Definitely.
Sort of like spice her up. So what do you reckon? Should we wrap it up now, or do you think?
Sure. I think that's basically what we're looking at. We're just like what Martin said. We're looking at these sort of different types of investments. You want to be going out. You want to have this investor mindset. You want to be looking for these opportunities. You want to be looking at where the trends are, whether it's speculative, whether it's stable, whether it's passive, whatever opportunities it is, whether it's like metals, which have always performed. And I think
really well.
We're given hit. Just look at the gold chart and look at December every year.
Hey, I forgot to mention that last week. Did you see what gold did last week? Yeah, you saw what it did now. And there's different ways of buying gold. You can buy it in ETF. You can buy it as spot. You can buy it as physical. But physical carries a lot more premium. But there's different ways of trading it depending on the type of person you are.
You've got to make sure you've got enough space to store it.
Well, gold is easy to store, but most people don't. ETFs are a good bet, but most 100%. People that I know, have it stored somewhere else, basically.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think obviously in this day and age, I think the practical is the ETF, because it's like, if I mean, unless you're going to take one shot, you're just going to go and you're just
Yeah.
going to buy everything and
Yeah,
just
but you
pop
know
it.
what? They're bullion dealers at the moment. There are bullion dealers that will store
Yeah.
it for you, and I
Oh
use them
yeah,
as
yeah,
well. Yeah,
definitely,
they
definitely.
actually store it for you. You
Yeah,
buy it, they'll store it
store.
for you, and then when you want to sell it, you pick up the phone, they'll sell it.
100%. Yeah.
But
There's,
yeah,
there's
but
lots of options. Yeah.
yeah. It's different depending on like you're young. You don't want to be holding it, right? You want to trade it. You want to make some money and trade it, right?
Yeah,
So you're
exactly.
going to either buy an ETF, or you're actually going to buy spread bet maybe, or something like that. Yeah, or buy it at spot.
Definitely.
But yeah, you're going to do one of those things basically. Whereas the
Yeah.
older generation, they might have had it as physical. But things are changing, so certain people are changing to different things. I mean, the other thing is silver. Silver came up as well.
Yeah, silver.
But it's not just us saying that. Yeah, Goldman Sachs came out. Goldman Sachs actually said, silver, they anticipate silver going to about 34 by the beginning of January, February. That's per ounce, $34 an ounce. At the moment, it's 25. It did drop all the way down to 23. At the beginning of last year, it was 12. So it's doubled. Gold, they're anticipating 22 in gold. And I think, if the main thing is, and where Bitcoin and cryptos will come in, is if people start losing confidence in their own currencies. I think that's when crypto, gold and silver will just skyrocket. They will just skyrocket, right? But it's if people start losing faith in their own central banks and currency.
I think that's sort of a good note. It's a good note to sort of sum up, because this is a very different time, very interesting time. One we haven't been ever close to, and I'll be interesting to see gold in what position is it in next March or April, because next March and April every year is when it sort of starts dipping again. It sort of starts going into the sort of dumps, sort of going down. But as we're just from looking from a UK perspective, as we're just printing money off like no one's business, are people going to be investing back into, after we'll see a run in gold, are people going to be taking their money back out, or are they just going to be leaving it there to see what happens in this recession? That would be quite interesting to see. And what the difference in behaviors there is, because like you said, it's getting to a point now where it's we've never been to this level. The debt, you're looking at the debt of the country is if it is going to be paid off, then we're talking grandchildren's.
Actually, which may be the reason why property prices haven't dropped, because people are just taking out a fear, and it makes sense, right? And buying a property.
Yeah, exactly.
And buying property and thinking, well, actually, I don't know what it's worth, but I know exactly, a house is worth what someone was willing to pay for it, but it's bricks and mortar, and I can feel it and touch it. It's there. And that makes sense, right? So a lot of the UK people have come in, especially from Hong Kong. We talked about that with what's been going on in Hong Kong. They've been filtering more money out of there. But the thing is, we've got a wealth of experience, and it's not just one bit of experience. It's looking at everything, basically. Which is why we started the channel together, and you bring a younger dynamic to it, where you look at some of the hotshot type stocks, whereas I look at it on a slightly different perspective. Right?
Agreed. And I think that's the big message here, guys.
And the other thing I'm going to say one more thing.
Go for it.
Next week, or now, is not the time to buy the FTSE or the NASDAQ or anything else. It's come up big, right? You should not be buying it. 10% move, should not be buying it. Maybe wait until the end of next week, see what happens.
Agreed. I completely agree.
So don't be buying anything at the moment. That's not the time to buy anything.
That was a good shout. But again, guys, initiative. Be looking. You want to become this active investor. You don't want to keep yourself surrounded in one. There of course a lot of our training and stuff will come in the future. And again, if, like what Martin said, you have a question, you want to know anything, just message us directly. We'll be happy to help. But apart from that, guys, the internet is massive. There's lots of information that you could find. Obviously, be careful of getting too analysis paralysis and too much information. But even basic stuff on understanding, if you actually, if like, there's some people that don't actually know how to buy stock, and if this sort of stuff, again, like whether you're with IG or whether you're with all these platforms, a lot of them have their video tutorials as well. So just go up, find out. They have their,
Yeah, but
and
Kiki, we can help them on that, right? So if
100%,
they're,
100%, yeah.
and I think, if people are actually genuinely interested, they get in touch with us, and we
Yeah.
can help them with
We
that.
can help you. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We can hold their hand. We can hold their hand and help them, open an account, right? What to do, teach them about the platform. Maybe we can do a little webinar for them, show them the ropes. They don't have to, but and I think maybe we should offer that service to people.
Definitely.
So if people are interested in stocks and shares and what have you, and they want to find out, then please let us know,
100%.
and then we'll put you in touch with our brokers, right? And we'll hold your hand. So we'll teach you the platform and how it works, basically. So you're not just going in blind. Yeah. And then we'll do a little webinar for you. This is how the platform is and everything else. So you can see. And then, obviously, if you want to take some training where we do some basic chart work and stuff like that, that'd be great as well. But above all, property related, always happy to answer those as well and put those in the comments. And let us know what you thought about this new format, once a month format. Did you enjoy it, Kiki? You think
it was fun? Yeah, I think it's good. I think it keeps both of us sharp and sort of on our toes, because obviously we both have a lot on. We both do a lot in our day to day, and it's making time for these things. Where especially with, again, when there's opportunities, we need to be active. Again, I can't stress this enough, but we have responsibility as investors to be looking at opportunities. Simple, full stop. So it's been great. So we'll continue this. Awesome.
All right, Perfect. So ask the questions and everything else, but above all, remember, people, that we are doing this to create a community. We want you to share it, because the only way, we are a young channel, is brought about by helping people, right? So share our content. Please share it on Facebook, YouTube,
and
help us. Help us. So
Definitely. Perfect.
All right.
Awesome. Cool.
Okay, listen, I'll speak to you soon, mate.
Until next time.
All right. Take care, mate.
All right.
Bye, mate. Bye, everyone.